What's up, everybody? This is Max Dean is Football, and I am Max Dean. Today, we are going to be doing our final mock draft. Well, really, first one I've done for the channel, but it's less than 24 hours to the draft. You can find me on Twitter at TheMaxDean if you want to respond to any of the picks, or you can hit me up in the comments below. Remember, you can find Max Dean is Football here on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe. So I'm in a good mood. I love the draft. It's one of my favorite parts of the off season. For most football fans, it's a big day, but I definitely follow it very closely. I'm also in a good mood because I might actually get to sleep before going to work today, or tonight, which is always nice. So I'm going to try and move quickly through this. I've already done the mock draft, and I'm going to go through it pick by pick with you, and I will explain my thought process a little bit. Hopefully it's somewhat predictive, but, I did include trades, and it's always such a crapshoot when you do that. Plus, this is a generally considered a more or less predictable draft than a lot of others. So let's get right into it. I'm doing first round with trades, and I'm using the PFF mock draft simulator just because it has trades readily available. And I do like the Draft Network, but unfortunately I just didn't feel like paying just to do trades for that one. All right, let's go. Pick everybody, enter the draft, and we are off. All right, start draft. Okay, so today, earlier, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars give a contract to their left tackle, Cam Robinson, who was on the franchise tag, which means they're probably not going tackle. And that puts the likely favorite at Travon Walker. That's who I'm going to guess here. Whether it's Aiden Hutchinson or Travon Walker, look, I am of the opinion that they probably should have gone tackle in an edge class that's so deep. I know they wouldn't have gotten the same caliber of edge, but I think when you make that investment to a rookie quarterback, a young quarterback, first overall like that, I think you really need to hit that offensive line hard. The word is that Doug Peterson wanted Akeem Kwanu, and then Balky, the general manager, wants Travon Walker, and ownership and potentially other scouts want Aiden Hutchinson. Looks like Balky's probably going to get his way, though, so we'll hit Travon Walker. And then we're probably going to see Aiden Hutchinson going number 2, edge from Michigan, to the Detroit Lions. Here's an interesting one. Okay, a lot of people have the corner, either Derek Stingley Jr. or Ahmad Gardner, going to the Texans here, number 3 overall. I am going to lean in a different direction. I think that they're going to take Ikem Ekwonu, probably the best offensive lineman in the class, depending on what exactly you prioritize and the way that you see everybody. But he is dominant in the run game coming out of NC State. He can play guard or tackle. That kind of gives him an instant path to starting. Now, do you want to have your 3rd overall pick be a guard? Maybe he doesn't have to be long term. He's got all of the traits to be a tackle, but if you decide you want to start him at guard and then have him kick out to tackle 1 year down the line and move on from Laramie Tunsil, then that's fine. But if you want to give Davis Mills a legitimate chance to show you what he can be, that's the way that I would go. And I understand that they would like a corner here. I'm not dismissing that, but I think that they're going to be able to look for corner in another way. and we'll kind of see how that shakes out here in a minute. Now, here's another one. There's a lot of smoke for this player for the Jets at number 4. It seems like the majority of people have just assumed that if Kayvon Thibodeau was there, he's the pick. I don't think that's true. I think if Akeem Ekwonu was there, he would probably be the pick, but he's not. And I am going to go with my guy, Jermaine Johnson II, the edge from Florida State. There's a lot of smoke about the Jets loving this guy, and I would think it was smoke, but here's the thing. He's actually my preferred player at number 4 for them, based on who's available here. So maybe it's just my own bias, but that's actually who I wanted them to take or want them to take. So the smoke, it just makes sense to me considering how much I like him. And a huge part of that is the character, the personality. He's extremely confident. He's very wise, I think, is maybe a way to put it. He's a little bit older, but he has all the athletic traits. He's excellent against the run. He has strong pass rush flashes, and he also has a variety of moves, and he shows you a pass rush plan, and that can be developed. And I think that he's a guy that might be surprisingly impactful as a rookie, in a way that people are not expecting him to be. So I'm going to go edge there. I think that it could be Stingley. I mean, it could be Thibodeau. It really could. But I think Johnson's the guy. So, all right, Giants. You know what? I need to pull up my chart because I'm going to need that in a minute. All right, that's got everybody. Great. Okay. Giants at pick number 5. Okay. This is an interesting one because everyone assumes that they want to tackle. I understand that their offensive line is not good. But you look back at the Buffalo years with Joe Shane and Brian Dable, they did not draft a tackle at any point in the first round while they were there. And I know they got a pretty good one in the second round in Jahan Dodson, but they didn't come in and prioritize a left tackle. They came in and they spent first round picks on corner, quarterback, linebacker, defensive tackle. It's traded a first round pick for Stephon Diggs and an edge. That's what they have looked at here. So keeping that in mind, and just because there's so much kind of push for that tackle, I think that they will go that way here. So I'm going to take Evan Neal because he's a proven right tackle. I know it's been reported they like Charles Cross. I know that he's, worked out at right tackle for some teams, but I'm going to go with Evan Neal, especially because Dable has the connection to Alabama, meaning that he probably, and not that, I don't even know how much more insight you get these days because scouts do such a good job, but you do have that inside track. So we're going to take Evan Neal at 5th overall. All right, now here is the interesting one. Everyone knows they need a quarterback and they need a tackle desperately, and the word is that they're desperately trying to trade out of the pick. So we're going to look at other teams here and figure out if they can get out of this pick, because what I really think they want is to trade back to justify taking a quarterback because they need picks. They've got nothing from 6 to 137, so they have 130 picks between now and their next pick. So we are going to take a look, and the team that I think that would be interested in hopping back up here is the Houston Texans. So they get to take their tackle, and now they're going to come up for a corner. Both of them are still on the board, so they're going to give up their 13th overall pick, and let's see, what did I say? All right, so they're going to give up their 13th overall pick, the 68th pick, so that is a 3rd round pick, and then to complete the trade, they're going to give 108 as well. Now, technically speaking, to go from 13 to 6, that's traditionally probably slightly undervalued, but this is already the Texans' second pick, so I think they're going to be fine taking their early second round pick as their third pick. Then they have another third round pick from New Orleans, and they have an early fourth round pick as well. So I think they're fine in terms of picks here and targeting the guys that they actually want. Panthers will give up the sixth pick, slightly less value, but I think that they're going to be willing to do it just because they're so eager to get out, and I'm not sure who else is going to be willing to come up into the top 10 for one of these players. So let's select the player. They're going to come up for Ahmad Gardner. I know there's some hype for Derek Stingley right now, but I think that they're going to prioritize the kind of person that Ahmad Gardner is, the kind of guy he is as a leader, as a locker room guy. Okay, let's jump into the New York Giants at 7. All right. Now, here's the thing about the Giants. Corner, yeah, for sure. Edge rusher, something that they would consider here. But they have a pretty horrendous cap situation. They don't even have enough cap space to sign their rookies. And they are probably not sold on Daniel Jones. And I think they're probably working in the Buffalo mentality, in that, you get in, you start to build the foundation of your new team, and then you look towards the following year to accumulate some draft capital and strike on the quarterback you want. So I think that they would be interested in trading back here and accumulating picks for 2023. I think the only team that's really going to be doing that's going to be interested in doing that, is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers for Malik Willis. I think we know they love Malik Willis. I don't think that's smoke. I think that's what they want to do. And by going up to 7, it ensures that we don't have either Seattle or the Atlanta Falcons making a move on him. So they're going to give 20. They are going to give their third round pick, which is 84th overall, and their 2023 first round pick. All things considered, that's not bad to move up all the way from 20 to 7. And I just don't think that there's going to be any other team willing to do it. There might be another sweetener in there, like a late round pick, just to get it done with the Giants. But, I'm going to keep it more basic in what the base value of the trade would be. So we're going to force that. That gives the Giants a cheaper second first round pick by moving back from 7 to 20. It also gives them that ammunition that they will want for 2023 to strike on a quarterback potentially. And I think that as great as Derek Stingley is, I think that they could look at corners elsewhere. They could look at a pass rusher. I think that they can sit at 20. They've got their tackle, and see if one of their preferred players falls to them a few spots. Did I forget to finalize that trade? All right, let's see. Where did I think I forgot to finalize it. Why is it not there? Well, that's frustrating. I don't know why. Oh, well. Alright. I know why I did this. I'm super smart. Okay, so we're going to give the 7th pick to the Steelers because I forgot to do that. Alright, so genius. Okay. Alright, that means the Steelers are now on the clock at pick number 7, and they're going to draft Malik Willis. So we got to go down a little ways for wherever PFF decides they rank Malik Willis. All right, Falcons number 8. Again, everyone's assuming that they're going to go wide receiver, and I think that they're happy with that because honestly, I think that they would rather get a pass rusher here. They have their number 1 pass catcher. They've got 2 second-round picks. They've got 2 third-round picks. So, adding receivers to their receiver room can be done later. I don't think that they need to add a pass catcher in the top 10 in consecutive drafts, personally. I think that they need to look at the defensive side of the ball, and I think this is where Kayvon Thibodeau would go off the board for them. They're basically last in all pass rush metrics last year, more or less, and I think that they need a stud pass rusher, and wide receiver can be found later. It just can, and I know that there are some good ones here, but I'm not sure. I really do think that if you go into next year and you draft a quarterback and you have Kyle Pitts and you have 1 or 2 young receivers and you actually have some defensive players as well, that's probably better, because otherwise you're just giving Marcus Mariota a bunch of guys to throw to, and you're just going to be terrible on defense. And I understand that maybe it doesn't matter if you want a high pick, but I think this is going to be your opportunity to get a good pass rusher. Because if you're going to spend your first round pick on a quarterback potentially next year, I'm not sure where that pass rusher is going to come from. So do it now. And we all know that we can generally get production from receivers later. Second, third round, especially if they have a full year to develop until when you really need them. All right, the Seahawks at pick number 9. I think they're going to take Derek Stingley Jr. and go. I think that they would consider some of the tackles if the right ones fell to them. I think that they would definitely consider a pass rusher. I think they're relatively okay at tackle, exclusively because they may have Dwayne Brown's agent on speed dial, get him signed up real quick after the draft to come back at left tackle for at least 1 year. Then they'll have 2 first-round picks next year. They can kind of reevaluate their team there. I think that they might go Malik Willis if he fell to them as well. I think that's a real possibility for them too. In this case, corner is the guy. They're kind of shifting schemes over there. They started that shift last year. And I think corner is going to be a bit more of a priority versus what it had been leading up to that point. You might start looking for corners earlier than they used to. Here at pick 10, I'm going to have the Jets taking Drake London. I think he fits Zach Wilson's skill set really well. I think he can be a power slot for them, eventually their primary X. I think his ability to run block out of the slot is really good for the scheme that they want to run, or that they do run as well. And honestly, he's my favorite wide receiver in the class. I can understand why others would have other favorites. I really do, but he's my favorite. Washington football team. Okay, so this is one that could go a number of different ways depending on who falls. I think they do want to go receiver here if they can. I think that they could go corner as well, but they have spent a lot of draft picks on the defense and not a lot on the offense. I think, offensive line could be something that they would look at, but I think they have just enough there to kind of get by with that. Here, I'm going to have them taking Jameson Williams because he just has that game-breaking speed, and I think that some teams might like him first overall, or not first overall, but first as in their wide receiver rankings, and I kind of get that too, but here he falls 1 pick behind Drake London. It might take a little while to get back, but you have Terry McLaurin to hold things down early, and then hopefully the idea is that you're making a playoff push with Carson Wentz. Jameson Williams steps in, adds that extra jolt to your offense. All right, Vikings, they want to trade down. They want to accumulate picks. I'm not sure that there's any player here that they covet so highly that they just need to stick and stand pat. They took a left tackle in the first round last year. They could use more edge rushers, but I'm not sure that any edge rusher felt it's so precious to them that they want to do it. So we're gonna go and take a look at the New Orleans Saints and knowing what they want and what could be going off the board next here. At 13, they're going to jump up. They're going to get the 12th pick. They're going to give up the 16th pick. And they're also going to give up a third round pick this year, which is going to be the 98th pick. It's a compensatory third round pick, back of the third round. And they are going to give up a 2023 third round pick to get this deal done. Force the trade. So, I think a higher third round pick, you wouldn't necessarily need the future third, but because it's a third round comp pick, it's almost a fourth round pick. So you get a little bit more to go up to pick 12, and that gives them the opportunity to draft Charles Cross. I understand. Look, okay, so I think that they could do this exact trade and also potentially take Kenny Pickett. I really, really do. I could see that happening. The thing about Jameis Winston's contract, it's multiple years, but there's only 1 year of guarantees. So if they were to draft a quarterback, they could have Winston play this 1 year and then get out for just a 1 year, $15 million deal, essentially. So I could understand them going after Pickett, but I also believe that they can grab these two players and then circle back to quarterback in the second round if there's a guy they like there, then have that guy sit for 1 year behind Jameis and then start. That gives them the opportunity to get a tackle and a wide receiver in the first round now, and let a guy sit for a year. So that brings the Panthers on the clock. The fact that Charles Cross went one pick before them really kind of justifies their desire to take Kenny Pickett here. So they have an extra third round pick now, thanks to this trade. And there could be an opportunity to try and get a tackle after the draft in the trade market. Depending on what team would be interested. I mean, look, I know that cap-wise, it's might be a little bit ugly for the Texans to move on from Laremy Tunsil, but we knew that they wanted to trade him away at some point, and then they just ended up restructuring his contract for cap purposes. But if you do a post-June 1st cut or post-June 1st trade, they could probably make that work. So if they take a quarterback here, I could potentially see Laremy Tunsil on his way to the Panthers for 2023 assets, especially in this world where Akeem Kwanu went third overall to the Texans. I wouldn't be surprised even remotely to see the Panthers give up a 2023 first round pick to get Laremy Tunsil in the building. Just saying, if that comes to fruition, I call my shot on that. Way out. Okay. Ravens, they love to trade back. I just have this feeling that the guys that they are interested in, they could probably get a little bit later. So we're going to look and see who would be interested for coming up for the players on the board. Just to give you a quick look at who's on the board: Hamilton, Karlaftis, McDuffie, Garrett Wilson, Devin Lloyd, Devontae Wyatt. Those are kind of the guys that are up high for me. And I think, more or less fits here with what PFF has. So we are going to get the Green Bay Packers. Okay, so Matt LaFleur, in definite moment of honesty, said we need wide receivers, we need speed at the position, and we need guys who can contribute early. For me, I know exactly who that is, and I think that they would be willing to move up from 22 to 14. They are going to give up a second round pick, which they have two of. So we're going to give them what did I settle on? 59 and a 5th round pick, which is going to be 171. They're also going to get back a 6th round pick in return from the Ravens, which was 196 here. I'm going to force that trade just to not lose 2 picks, just to lose 1. 6th round pick is kind of whatever, but it's at least something potentially. Could be a special teamer. All right. So that means that the Green Bay Packers can now bolster their wide receiver room with Garrett Wilson. Great scheme fit for them. I think he can make an impact immediately. He does have speed. He does have yak. He does play above the rim for his size. He does all that good stuff. So I think that, there's a lot of receivers in this class, but if you do want one that you can contribute basically immediately, and you don't want to trade up all the way into the top 10, this is as good an opportunity as you're going to get based on the way that this board fell. All right, Eagles at 15, they're going to take Trent McDuffie. They're going to add a corner and to pair up with Darius Slay. And they have another pick coming up at 18, so they can circle back and look at another position as well. Minnesota Vikings are up on the clock now. I'm going to have them taking Kyle Hamilton. I think that they could strongly consider interior offensive line, especially a guy like Zion Johnson. But I think that despite the fact that it's a safety, Hamilton really has kind of hit the point where that's such a good player that teams will start to look at him and say, look, safety, whatever. I mean, and some people will be like, how can you think he's even going to fall to 16? Well, look, we've seen it before. We've seen Micah Fitzpatrick fall. We've seen Derwin James fall. Very good safeties who went later just because the position generally isn't valued. But late teens is he's probably not falling much farther than that. Now, again, if you watched my positional value videos, I don't really agree with that pick, but this is predictive. This is not what I would do. Chargers. Look, I know they could use a corner, but I think the way that they're going to need to compete, I think you really can't look anywhere outside of offensive line in the first round, because you don't have a 2nd round pick and you don't have a 3rd round pick even, I think. Just let me see what the Chargers got. They do have 79, so they've got a 3rd round pick, but they got nothing in the 2nd. So you can't even add an offensive lineman in the 2nd round if you wanted to. So we're going to take Bernard Raymond to play right tackle and help protect Justin Herbert. That's a way for them to solidify that position. And everyone who's kind of mocking them wide receivers, that it's pure luxury, and I think it's just the wrong way to build a team if you have needs at the offensive line. And corner, I get it, but I just don't think it's as much of a need. You just signed J.C. Jackson. You have Asante Samuel Jr., who can play outside and inside. And I think that if you want him to play outside, you can find nickel defenders a little bit later, especially because Derwin James is so versatile as well. So, yeah, I'm not going corner for them there. Eagles back on the clock. Fletcher Cox released and signed a 1-year deal. I think Javon Hargrave is also nearing the end of his contract. So we know how Howie Roseman values the trenches. You look at edge, yeah, they could definitely use some guys there, like some more big-time guys. But I think you're an injury or one season away of just having nothing there. So we're going to restock that with a big-time player. Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle from Georgia, will be the future 3 technique behind Fletcher Cox. Saints back on the clock at 19. I know Chris Olave makes a lot of sense, but also I think that they would be like, look, if we've got Jameis Winston, instead of making him do all the work, let's give him another guy who he can dump the ball off, get some schemed up touches to, like Alvin Kamara, and let all of those guys do all the work. So we're going to have them taking, where to go? Might be lower on their board here on PFF. Traylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas, going 19 to the Saints. All right. Giants are back on the clock at 20 after their trade back. We have a corner in mind for them. They're going to be looking to get a press man specialist. For me, that's Kaiir Elam from Florida. I think based on who's still on the board, he's the most proven man coverage player and fits that scheme very, very well. And I do think that they will prioritize corner. Sorry if I'm rubbing my eyes. I left my contacts in. I should have just taken them out and put my glasses in, put my glasses on, but I didn't. That's my own fault. All right. Patriots, they're ready to trade back here. They love to trade back. We are going to make a move back, and the team that's coming up to trade with them is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa, yeah, sure, they could use a safety. Sure, they could use a defensive lineman. They could use some stuff, but what is the biggest priority that they have? What is the position that needs to be replaced for them? Ali Marpet. We're going to go get a guy who can start day one, lock in. Yeah, they got Shaq Mason, who's a good guard, but he's going to play the right side to replace Kappa, so we need a guy for the left side. We are going to give up, as the Bucks, we're going to give up number 91, which is a third-round pick. So that means we're still going to get to pick in the second round as well. But we're giving up a third, and we are going to get back a, what did I say here? A sixth-round pick, number 200 overall. Again, be looking at special teams, but we got to protect Tom Brady. He's the number one most valuable asset on that team. And I want a guy who's a sure thing here. I don't want to mess around. We're trying to make another championship run. I don't want to be 5 games into the season and realize that teams are getting pressure up the middle, which is the worst thing for Brady, because that left guard is struggling. So this just builds that full wall. It adds that final piece. So we're going to make that trade, and we are going to be taking Zion Johnson, guard from Boston College. All right, Ravens back on the clock here after their trade back. I think there's 2 guys here that they would probably most strongly consider. One would be George Karlaftis. The other would be Jordan Davis. I think either one is kind of a Raven type dude, but they're going to take Jordan Davis. They're going to get a big time guy who's going to play against that weaker interior offensive line against that. I don't think it's as weak as it was, but it's not great for the Bengals. I think this guy is going to be a monster against that zone rushing team from Cleveland. So I think it fits well who they have to go against in the division. And I think if he falls to 22, that's a great get for them. Cardinals, I mean, if they don't just take an interior offensive lineman here, or an offensive lineman of any kind, just shame on them. So we're going to take something a lot of people have talked about for a couple of years, myself included, about how much they need one. All right, where is he? We're taking Kenyan Green, so I probably just passed him. There he is. Guard with some tackle experience from Texas A&M. Probably not playing tackle for you, but shores up that interior. Can play next to Rodney Hudson for at least a season or 2. Cowboys on the clock now. Okay. They could go a number of different ways. They could go George Karlaftis. They could go Tyler Linderbaum here. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they made that pick. But I think the guy that's going to represent the most strength on strength for them, and also will be a week 1 impact player while they're waiting for Gallup to kind of get back to full health. Chris Olave. You put him at Z. You have Gallup at X. You have CeeDee Lamb operating out of the slot. And you have just completely revamped your wide receiver group. Olave gives you that deep threat that you need kind of while you're waiting for Gallup to get back. All right, Bills at 25. I would genuinely be surprised if they took a running back here, even though there's so much hype for that. I just don't think so. Like, if you actually watched the Bills last year, at times they struggled to run the ball, but not later in the season. And honestly, I cannot believe that people are saying maybe if they had Breece Hall, they would have scored more points. Like in that playoff game. Are you joking me? Did you see how wildly good their offense was? The offense was not the problem. They scored so many points, and especially as the season kind of rolled along towards the end there. They need to be able to make a stop when it counts. So they could go interior offensive line. They just signed a number of guys in free agency to kind of bolster that interior. Defensive line, I'm not sure if I said defense. I meant defense. I'm going to have them take an Andrew Booth Jr. corner from Clemson. I don't think they have to go corner, but honestly, I think you really need to look at the defense, because as good as the defense was, like that's what lost them that game in the playoffs. So I understand building strength on strength with the offense, but I mean, just like trying to convince yourself that running back is what's going to put that team over the hump, as good as Breece Hall might be. Like, you already have the driver of your offense. You already re-signed your elite wide receiver. Okay? Running back makes zero sense to me. Tennessee Titans on the clock at pick number 26. I'm going to have him taking Trevor Penning. I know there are some questions about how ready he is, but he fits the scheme well. He has the attitude that I think that they really value there. The physicality, the nastiness. I know that everyone says Trevor Penning, nastiness. It's like a buzzword with him. You have to say it. But I think, for the right team, it does make more of a difference. So we're going to go with him here. Then, pick 27, we have the Patriots on the board. All right, we're going Devin Lloyd. Dante Hightower, his time in the NFL is nearing a close. I know he's not as big, but he has that length, and I think he has a play style that the Patriots would love. He has that inside-outside versatility. He can play inside on certain downs. He can go outside and as kind of a pseudo edge at times, not to the same level of Micah Parsons. I'm not saying that, but he can do it. He's got the length to be an effective blitzer and go up against tight ends or even the occasional offensive linemen sometimes. And so he just has that type of versatility that they love with their linebackers there. Packers here at 28. So they've already got Garrett Wilson, and now we're going to have them take George Karlaftis. So always add to that pass rush group. I think that's the key position for them outside of wide receiver. You just always want to add to that. I think they could look at safety too, just because they've got a couple of safeties nearing the end of their contract, but I think that's something you can circle back to in round 2. So I think that they could go there if they really want to, or they could go offensive line, or they could just draft a late round offensive lineman, and he'll be good just like they always do. So Karlaftis can be kind of that 3-4 defensive end for them potentially. He can like really just embrace the power side of his game, get a little bit bigger and be that guy. He can also rush from the edge too. I think I just think he's a good fit for that team, in that defense. All right, here's an interesting one. First of all, at 29, they're going to answer the wide receiver question. I know I'm not taking George Pickens, even though it seems like everybody wants to give him George Pickens here. I'm going to give him one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft, Jahan Dodson. This guy, I think that he is just going to be a nightmare a nightmare on any offense that can use him effectively. He has amazing hands. He's going to be a guy who can catch like almost 100 balls. I think just because of all the different ways that you can give him the ball, he's an excellent yak player. He can get deep down on the defense, even though he didn't do that quite as much in college as he did. But like, there's just so many ways that you can use him, and I would love to see what Andy Reid could do with him. And then we're also going to circle back and look at the defense as well. And we're going to give them Nick Bonito. Now, he's a bit smaller, not super long, but his pass rush win rate is ridiculous. He's a tremendous pass rusher. And I think that, this is a team that's probably not going to have to defend the run as much. It's just not something they're going to have to do because they're always going to just score a boatload of points. They're probably going to play from ahead most of the time, and even if they don't play from ahead, teams are going to want to throw the ball against them because they know that, even without Tyreek Hill, like 2-3 plays, they can score a touchdown, right? So like, you got to be aggressive offensively to keep up with that. And I think Nick Bonito is probably the best pure pass rusher in this entire class. So bring that guy onto your team. Let him rush all the other quarterbacks in the loaded AFC that you have to go up against. Bills, let him rush Josh Allen. Chargers, let him rush Justin Herbert. The Bengals, let him rush Joe Burrow. Just Joe Burrow loves to operate out of empty and throw the ball around. Like, get a pass rusher to just go after him nonstop. All right, last trade of the draft. We have the Bengals on the clock. We're going to have them trade back with the New York Jets here. The Jets are going to give them 35. We're going to get 31. They're also going to give up their 5th round pick, which is, we're going to give them 146, I think. 146, which is a 5th round pick. And we're going to give them a future 6th. They got an extra future 6th from Houston. Just as a little extra something. And the Jets are going to do this to go up and get their preferred player here at this point, which is going to be Tyler Linderbaum. They didn't get the tackle early, so they reinforced their line at the center position. Now again, if you watched my videos and know anything about me, I am a Jets fan, and I also strongly disagree with taking a center in the first round. So I wouldn't really be happy if they do this, but I got to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm trying to be predictive. I think this is a real possibility, and if they don't take him at 31 to make sure that the Jaguars don't get him at 33. If he falls to 35, I think they'd just take him there. So, I think, obviously, in terms of all of the other things, he's an excellent scheme fit, tremendous player, all that good stuff, yes. But he's a center, and that's all I have to say about it. But I'm trying to be predictive, and I think they would actually do it. So let's move my face out of there so you can see. And that leaves the final team on the clock in the first round. And I do think that they have a very real possibility to go quarterback here, because they can take pretty much any other position they want at pick 34 when they're back on the clock in 2 picks. But this is where the quarterback 5th-year option does come into play, especially if you're getting a guy that's probably not quite as ready. right off the bat. So I'm gonna have them take. I probably already passed them. I'm gonna have them drafting Desmond Ridder. I think he's probably the third best prospect at quarterback in this draft. So let's get my face out of here now. No, I am not subscribing to PFF right now. Appreciate the offer though. Also don't care about the grade. But I just wanted to get one somewhat predictive mock draft out there before this one. It'd be fun to get a few right if in a year that's so difficult to predict, so to speak. But I always know whenever I put trades in there, it makes it really hard to hit on picks. Like, if you really want to get your mock draft as accurate as possible, putting in trades is probably not a very good idea, because it's easier to put player and team fits together, even if it's a little bit out of what the final order would be, than it is to try and predict trades, who's moving up for who, and so on and so forth. So, all right, I don't know what's this. I don't care about the grade. All right, so just to run through everything, so you can see. All right, Travon Walker to the Jaguars at 1, Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions at 2, Kim Aquanu to the Texans at 3, Jermaine Johnson to the Jets at 4, Evan Neal to the Giants at 5, Texans come up to 6 and take Ahmad Gardner, the Steelers come up to 7 and take Malik Willis, the Falcons take Kayvon Thibodeau at 8, Derek Stingley Jr. goes to the Seahawks at 9, Drake London to the Jets at 10, Jameson Williams to the Commanders at 11. I probably said Washington football team throughout this entire mock draft. To the Commanders. Charles Cross goes to the Saints, who move up to 12 to get him. Kenny Pickett is taken by the Panthers at 13. The Packers move up to 14 to pick Garrett Wilson. Eagles draft Trent McDuffie at 15. The Vikings take Kyle Hamilton at 16. Chargers take Bernard Ryman at 17. Devontae Wyatt goes 18 to the Eagles. At 19, Saints get Treylon Burks. 20, New York Giants take Kyer Elam. At 21, the Buccaneers go up to get Zion Johnson. Jordan Davis goes 22 to the Baltimore Ravens. Kenyan Green goes 23 to the Cardinals. Chris Olave goes 24 to the Cowboys. Andrew Booth Jr. goes 25 to the Bills. Trevor Penning goes 26 to the Titans. Devin Lloyd goes 27 to the Patriots. George Karlaftis goes 28 to the Packers. Jahan Dodson, 29 to the Chiefs. And then at 30, they take Nick Bonito. The Jets move up to 31 to take Tyler Linderbaum. And Desmond Ridder goes off with a final pick at 32 to the Detroit Lions. So let me know if you agree with any of the stuff that I've said here, or you disagree. You're more than welcome to do that. I would appreciate it. And we're going to see if any of these match up with the draft itself, which by the time this comes out is going to be in just a few hours. So I'm going to get some sleep, and I will talk to you all soon. Appreciate you watching if you made it through. And I'm very much looking forward to this year's draft. I'll be back to break it all down in the next couple of days for sure. All right. Have a good night, everybody, or a good day, or whenever you watch this. I don't know.